All right, welcome everyone to today's Design Review Committee. It is September 28th at noon, and we'll start with roll call. Everyone can introduce themselves and state whether they have conflicts on the project. I'll start. I'm James Hall, and I do not have any conflicts. Quinn, you want to go first?
Quinn Peterson, no conflicts.
Bruce Fallon, no conflicts.
Megan Geilman, no conflicts.
All right, thank you. And I have a new script that I'll be reading today. Although this is a public hearing, only the presenters and those invited by the committee may speak or ask questions unless otherwise invited by the chair. Please wait to speak until called on by the chair. When speaking, please be sure to speak into the microphone so the record is clear. Please state your name and city of residence for the record. Please limit side conversations as they interfere with the audio recording. If you need to have a side conversation, please step out of the chambers. Please do not attempt to interrupt or speak over people. Intimidating or threatening speech or behavior will not be tolerated at any time. Please refrain from clapping or cheering during the hearing. Okay. With that, we'll jump into the agenda. We have one item today. So item 1, Veritas Architecture and Design requests design review approval for a new drive-through only coffee shop in this SC3 zone located at approximately 2298 North University Parkway in the Carterville neighborhood. All right. I guess this next part is after you talk about it. There's a little bit about 15 minutes for the presentation when your time is up. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Dustin couldn't be here today. My name is Aaron Ardmore. I work in planning and I will be presenting this project. So I'm going to hand you the materials board. There's materials, 3 different metal panels and a thin brick panel siding. So this project is up along University Parkway and 2310 North, just on the corner there on your map. It's a vacant property. This coffee shop will be moving into there. So we have a landscape plan here, shows basic concept of the drive-through, 2 drive-through lanes, and then landscaping around the site and in the center there. The one change that you haven't seen on this is the sidewalk on the kind of the east side, I guess, will be coming through the drive lanes and through the landscaping here to move up towards the rest of the project. The elevations match the materials board that you have in front of you. It's a combination of brick and metals. The colors try to connect to adjacent developments with the grays and those tones that are in the River's Edge products. That's all I have. If you have questions for me, I'll try to address those. Also, if you have questions for the applicant, I'll try my best to address those as they're not here today. They couldn't make it there out of state. So that's all I have.
Can you tell us what the smaller building is? Is it storage?
Yeah, so
the northern.
Yeah, so the one is kind of a walk-in storage fridge. Then they've got the garbage dumpster towards the private drive there.
And those 2 are fully physically separated, 2 separate properties, buildings.
Buildings, yes.
Okay. And there are no renderings for that building, right?
No.
Okay.
No, just the primary building.
Well, we jumping into comments or
I
questions?
think you kind of see the secondary building on the north and the west elevations though.
They're on the left there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that makes it look like it's connected.
It does. Yeah. So it's a little deceptive. But yeah, if you line those up, they're pretty much in line there.
Okay.
And I think that's what they're showing on those elevations.
Okay.
So I think my concerns that I have is I guess I have a hard time seeing. Well, let me ask a question first. it talks about in the design standards, the predominant architectural themes of the district. Is there an established theme for the district?
There isn't, so there aren't any design corridors or design standards in this zone. It's a C3 zone. A majority of the area to the east and south is being developed by one developer. So you've seen kind of consistent patterns and materials through that.
Right.
That's just a coincidence because it's all being built by one developer.
So we saw a pet hospital
Right. Yeah.
that was in this project,
Where 475 is right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it was
process.
built by someone else. It was not built by the main developer, but they told us that there were design standards like an HOA that were organized in this facility by the group that had the project.
Yes.
Even though it was built by different groups and different owners, that it was like an HOA
So
essentially.
let me speak to that.
Okay.
So that property, that 475, the pet hospital, is within the property ownership of Brighton Homes.
Ah,
And they have CCNRs and HOA to maintain. that.
okay,
This piece wasn't one of those that was
okay.
bought by that group.
Do you know, does it, in one of these renderings, the north, well, I guess, and the south, is this a balcony that will have outdoor dining on the roof of that box? I see a
No.
railing.
No,
My guess is that railing is probably there for mechanical
Yeah,
equipment
I would
that's too
assume so,
close
too.
to the edge.
they haven't
And so
shown
they
that
have
in
to
their project
provide
plan.
fall protection for it.
It should be outdoor dining.
It's what?
It should be outdoor dining.
No stairs.
I think their business concept is more of a walk up and drive through.
Right.
So I'm going to comment on material board. Megan, if you can hand that to me. They label it as thin brick. I think that's misleading. It's not thin brick. The Chihad doesn't make thin brick. They make panels and siding. So to say it's thin brick, I think is incorrect. And I don't know if they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes or what, but
No, I think you can see that in the elevations. I think
They're
you can
panels.
obviously see the larger
Yeah.
panels and then a typical brick
yeah,
style. Yeah.
yeah, and I agree. That's what how I would read that. But I think in terms of this idea of, the predominant architectural themes, probably the two comments I would make is a lack of brick, and then the metal siding seems foreign to the district. Some of those buildings obviously have been around for a while. The Olive Garden and Cafe Rio and Zupas and JCW's got remodeled a few years ago, but probably longer than just a few years ago now. But so I think there's some of those older buildings, even those still have a pretty predominant use of brick and stucco primarily for those ones. Obviously, Olive Garden likes their stone from Italy. It's not really stone from Italy, but so I'm struggling a little bit with the metal and then the lack of brick on this.
I fully agree. We tried to talk about it a little bit preemptively, but I think that this is one of the parts of the city that does seem to have a very cohesive material palette. And this just doesn't seem to be in dialogue with that palette and the surrounding neighbor buildings, even across the street with the Walmart and like Wingstop. It's all pretty consistently brick as well.
My issue is actually with curved roof line. I feel like, I don't know if that's a modernist thing, but I feel like a shed roof, like straight, would be more coherent with just their design, but I agree about matching the other buildings.
I can't remember what some of the River's Edge housing looks like, but I do think that there was some like just single plane roof, angled roof as well.
Yeah, I think it mostly is gabled roof, if I remember correctly. And it did have a little shed roof kind of on a pop out. Correctly.
Yeah.
I'm not as bothered by the curved roof, so, and neither am I bothered by the blue color. I like color. I think it adds a little texture to it. So I think it's really the other two things that I'm struggling with.
I don't have a problem with anything. I think it looks fine, but I do understand the concerns potentially about conflict being a little bit of an outlier in this area. But I don't really know if I have enough context. I don't really know a lot about the other buildings right there to know how to make that judgment.
I just drove by there just because I wanted to be reminded of it as well. So
Yeah, I scrolled through Street View on Google Maps and
Yeah.
it does feel quite cohesive. I think the blue is also more subdued on the material panel than it appears in the elevations too. So I think the blue is
welcome to printing.
Yeah. Okay, so we've had our discussion. I don't see anyone here for public comment, so I'm just going to skip that part of the script, if that's okay. Okay, great. All right, so we're now, I guess, any further discussion before we jump to discussing how we want to handle this project? Okay. And then as far as creating or proposing requirements or recommendations, how do we feel about that?
I mean, for me, I guess, again, requirement or recommendation, as I look at these design standards, I just don't feel like they meet it. So my recommendation or requirement would be for them to go back and evaluate that. I mean, I get it. You're out of state as an architect and you're not as familiar with the area, but like you said, there's Google Maps pretty good these days. So that's how I would handle it, I guess.
So is that a motion?
Not necessarily. Would you like it to be, Quinn?
I don't know.
Are any of you familiar with the brand? I don't know if this is like iconic architecture for Seven Brew. Part
No
of
idea.
their visual
Yeah, I
language
don't.
and brands.
I don't know.
I didn't check that.
Everyone's pulling out their phones
Yeah.
here to say, what is Seven Brew? I don't even know.
This
where
is
they're from.
every one of their properties looks exactly like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna check and see if they have any properties in Utah to know. If we're...
It's an exact duplication of this in every location.
Well,
There are a
I
couple
know.
that have some brick on
I was
the
gonna say, the
bottom,
very first thing I see is brick there
on the very
first-
bottom strip.
Uh-huh.
It keeps all the metal. Actually, the metal in a lot of these is running horizontal panels instead of vertical. And one of these is stone. I guess it's just the shape, roofline colors that's the same in all of them.
Okay, I'm getting hits in the Midwest and back east.
So maybe if there were to be a requirement, it would just be that they tweak that paneling on the bottom to be a brick instead of that gray panel.
And there's certainly brick colors if that's important to their brand.
Sure.
They can utilize. There's some great charcoals.
So maybe it's either changing the color or texture or whatever the material is to better match the neighboring properties.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm
So-
comfortable with that being a requirement because it is in line with the nature of the surrounding area. Aside from brick, do we want to talk about anything else?
Is the metal panel, again, it's a pretty foreign material in that area from my experience with that. So I guess I would also have them go back and look at both of those materials just to see what they'd be
Sure.
willing to look at. So, I mean, I like the texture that the metal panel provides, but it's just a different material from what's in the surrounding areas. There's always a danger of being too monolithic as well, so I think hopefully these guys are creative enough to tie their brand to the ideas of what. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we recommend or require that they go back and reevaluate the material usage of the Michiha panel and the metal panel that's shown vertically in the gray. I guess that's A, material A, and material
B.
Thank you. My eyes weren't going to let me see anything curved. My eyes do not like. to better tie and what's the word, to be compatible with the predominant architectural themes of the district.
Okay, and just to clarify wording there, this is a requirement that they go back and look at it.
And evaluate materials A and materials B.
Yes.
Okay, Aaron, is that actually actionable in a meaningful way, or do we need to
It
think
is,
about?
but is the motion to approve with those conditions or continue it?
I would continue it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So that was the only item for today. I will motion to adjourn. Any 1 second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, everyone.